Greetings and salutations. It's me, Robert Phoenix, and I am here with you. It is 8:02 a.m. Central Standard Time, Kerrville, Texas, where the temperature is a brisk somewhere in the 30s. Not like that. Not behind me. That's much colder, but cold nonetheless. All right, let's see. Who's in the house this morning? Ms. Behaving 2, checking in at 721. Scott Jerzik, buongiorno. Scott Liddy Lewis here, 32 in McKinney. Full moon Mars. Your best friend was T-boned yesterday. Well, that's not good. A 23-year-old girl ran a stop sign. Wow. Yeah, be careful out there. I'm merrily freezing my boot. Scooting booty in Nash Vegas. We hear get some snow back there. Jackie Delario, a beautiful day apparently in South New Jersey. Nunya Beeswax checking in. A Jerzik number 2, Christine is here. Sigurd, POV, you're a Hollywood creative who has been gaslighting yourself for 20 years about still being relevant while secretly praying for it all to end in flames. That is a really salient comment. I'm going to get into this today over on 15 Minutes of Flame. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to play a clip from Tucker Carlson and Michael Schellenberger. And they get into some very interesting and touchy territory about people. And I'm gonna tease it a little bit. I'm not gonna completely go there right now, but people who are in that area and in that system who are subconsciously invested in the burning down of that system. And I'll get into more of that over on 15 minutes, but Sigurd's over the target here. Queen Lisa, we got a Queen Lisa sighting. She's here. Nora Rashid, the Queen of Speed. Kanya Curtis, hi Robert, great Sunday night Astro Live. You're saying something really interesting about Balboa. Yeah, so the explorer Balboa made notes in his journal as he was traveling, I believe, down the California coast. And in the area of Los Angeles where he wanted to port, he couldn't do it because there were fires there. And it seemed like it wasn't just passing the qualifier or the I guess the quantifier is that he said that it's always on fire. So he must have made a couple of passes across the Los Angeles area witnessing flames. Now, I got this. Now, I'd heard this before somewhere else. I think, where did I read this? It might have been either in a Peter Moon book or it might have been in Dave McGowan, but there's something about the topography of Los Angeles in the early days of Los Angeles, which was extremely it wasn't very welcoming, let's put it that way. So Balboa talks about these fires. So he actually had the land in San Diego. So he ported in San Diego. And of course, we have Balboa Park, Balboa Island. Like Balboa is all over San Diego, but you don't see any Balboa really in Los Angeles. And that gets back to this idea of Los Angeles and what's beneath the city. So if you have a cursory experience of Los Angeles and you drive around enough, you'll see abandoned oil wells, right? Like in the city limits, you'll see them. And then of course you have the La Brea tar pits. You have this constant sort of, production of tar. Now, is tar going to have the same flammability as gas, methane? I don't know, right? But there's something beneath the surface of LA that is combustible. So that's what that was in reference to, Kanya. Healing Heart Rose, you just got off work. How about that? More from New York City, another cold one here, keeping all those in California. North Carolina, let's not forget about North Carolina. They seem to have been just, sloughed away and pushed down the memory hole. Orlando was talking about that yesterday on Twitter and reposted, her sentiments. My Endless Road, what's happening? There she is, Janine, PMSO. What's going on? Darling, Road Trip, 1981. Thor at the Door. We meet again. That's right, Steve. The lovely and talented one, Saving Austin, one tooth at a time. Melissa Stan's here. Lynette Jardine, the Queen of Speed. Lisa Ann White, Susan Barbara Boots. We're all wondering the same thing. Is it going to happen? What kind of danger awaits President-elect Trump as he's ready to assume the mantle of leadership? This is a really good quote here. I like this. Some days coffee tastes better than others. I would agree with that. Claire is here. Hi, Claire. Lori, the Cancer moon punctuated my Cancer sun last night. Still snowing in the snow globe. There let the mortal. Our resident shredder, Steve, is here. Hi, Steve. Interstellar Cosmic Communications with Patricia. It's been a while. Well, we're glad you're back. PB's here. What's happening? Jelena. We got a Jelena sighting. Mr. Gray No More. Soul Traveler. Ryan, the introspective woodworker. What is it, -2? Is that what the temperature is? Jesus. That's pretty damn cold. Josie's Jazzy Junk. Lena Winkler. Erica Modi. Artist Sear. My uncle Sister Nino, very late at 8:03, I have to say. Janet Terry. We got snow in eastern Idaho. Robin Dan in the house. Hot Dan. Tom Jordan in the house. Rainbows and Butterflies. Maya Rose. Jola saw the full moon. Yeah, the full moon was very impressive last night, wasn't it? If you feel so inspired and inclined, yes, you can buy me a cup of coffee there. Ratchet Boo. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Night of Cups. Had a good full moon release last night. What does that mean? Inquiring minds want to know. Mindy Beth is here. Hi, Mindy Beth. Naturally Mother Earth. Balboa. That's right. Absolutely. Balboa Park is where the Sabian symbols were hatched. Yep. Yeah, the full moon in Cancer doesn't disappoint, does it? It's like, hi, I'm in my own sign right now. Look at me. Look at how big and bold and lunar I am. Do you remember there was a period of time where the sign Cancer was kind of out of mode, and people referred to themselves as moon children. This is true. Like if you're at a party and in the inevitable conversation about sign would come up, like, what's your sign? I'm a moon child. I'm a moon child. I think there was this kind of blowback against Cancer because Cancer just sounds so dark and negative. Kelly B's here. Carly's here. I got into it yesterday on Twitter. That movie Volcano isn't far off the mark. LA was probably more than just too rocky for him. You know, LA's pretty big. One of the most accessible deep water ports in the country is in Long Beach, which isn't that far from Los Angeles. It's just slightly south. And then you also have like Seal Beach down there, which isn't that far away either. So I'm not sure exactly what part of LA Balboa had scoped into his scope when he was seeing those dancing fires. But yeah, I've heard from more than one source. Mel Gibson talked about it on the Rogan podcast. A Platinum Happiness. Check it in. All snow in eastern Idaho. Magpie, my sons are Capricorn and Cancer, so it's really hard to find balance sometimes. But somehow this moon helped. Good. Well, Cancer Sun, Moon, and Cancer. Right? Yeah, you can sign up, become a member of Locals. We got part two of the preview for 2025 happening. Part one happened last Saturday. Carly saw the Lunar Mars occultation last night. It was powerful and amazing. Yeah, right. They were like right together. You can see these things in the sky. Like they are, we talk about them in the abstract in terms of like either energy or concept or metaphor, right? But you can actually see this stuff in the sky. And yeah, they're there. And Mars actually moves behind the moon, which is the occultation that Carly's talking about. Erica Modi is getting into her coffee today. Pebbles is here. Hi, Pebbles. Leadership of a country under attack from war unnamed. Diane Evans. Hi, Diane. Good to see you. You guys are funny. I originally thought the fires were from a volcano. Give it time. Woken up at 3 a.m. the past 2 nights. So C.S. Lewis has something very interesting to say about this phenomenon, specifically at 3 a.m. And if you're not familiar with C.S. Lewis, he was the author of Chronicles of Narnia and was a Christian. And he wrote fairly extensively about being woken up at 3 a.m. And his thesis is that you're being chosen at that time by God. This is his thesis. At 3 a.m. in the morning, you're being chosen to wake up and attempt to create a deeper relationship and understanding with the Lord at that time. These are C.S. Lewis's words. Now, it could just be some kind of, I don't know, strange scalar effect where they wake everybody up at 3 a.m. But, dark modern technology aside, that's what C.S. Lewis is referring to. It's kind of like, I wouldn't call it the magic hour, but it's more like the divine hour. And you're supposed to pray, meditate on what you're supposed to learn or know at that time. Apparently, like, the veil is very thin, and again, according to Lewis, you're being woken up for a reason. So there you go. Magpie had some dreams. Jane Morgan, it was very bright. It was huge. It was huge. Full moon strut. Yes, indeed. Who else do we have here? When I hear Moonchild, I think of the band Kiss. When I hear Moonchild, I think of Jack Parsons. Did Kiss do a song called Moonchild? It wouldn't surprise me. Catherine Faulkner's here. Moira, Cancer Sun. Oh, you must be feeling it. My partner is a Cancer, and his emotions have been intense the last few days. He's PMSing. Yeah, Thor's got some puns. He's good. Steve is witty. He's got that Libran wit. What did he say? What did Steve say? I want to go back. Guess LA was too rocky for him. Okay, Rocky Balboa. I get it now. I had to go back. My coffee hasn't kicked in yet. That is good. That is good, Steve. Ta-da. I'm glad I went back and saw that. Let's see. Who else we have here? Yes, we were talking about Thor. I know. I saw that. I got it. I had to go back in time. My coffee's just kicking in. Let's see. Misty morning. Maria D'Ange. 3 a.m. awakening is too much liver heat. C.S. Lewis, Cosmic Trilogy, well worth a read. I guess the Lord loves liver. I guess so. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Look it up. You can see that. There's a bunch of C.S. Lewis stuff on YouTube. Let's see. Kim's 3 a.m. Eternal. Okay, I think we're there. The KLF. The KLF was great. They were great. King Crimson did Moonchild. Okay, there you go. We got some musos in the house. All right, let's get into the weather, shall we? Oh, I had a Moon Mars moment yesterday over on Twitter, and I put up the chart from Sunday night with China, the Synastry chart with China in Los Angeles, which to me, again, given everything we know and some of the things that we don't know, is like an astrological smoking gun. China's all over that LA chart. And I put that up, and I got mugged by an astrologer named the Empress of Atlantis, which, if you're asking me, is a pretty pretentious title. I'm just saying. So the Empress of Atlantis posted on my Twitter feed, "What in God's fuck are you going on about?" And so I reposted it to the Twitter feed. Like, can people help her out here? What am I going on about? And people gave their various responses. I'm sitting this one out, or and then eventually she came back and she claimed that I was being insensitive, that homes had burned, people lost their lives, and familiars or something like that. I guess dogs. People talk in very grand esoteric terms, familiars. And my position was, you can have empathy, but also be engaged in the calling out of the perps behind all of this, that the two are not mutually exclusive. And then she claimed I had a China obsession, that I was obsessed with China. And I'm not obsessed with China. In fact, I really don't talk about China a lot. But I did say, well, I'm not that obsessed with China, but if you want to bring up Israel, I'll start cooking. And then she ended the email or the Twitter exchange with, I hope for the very worst for you. I hope for the very worst for you. Which, if syntactically, if you're trying to cast a spell, you don't use the word hope. Like maybe wish, but not hope. It kind of cancels out the dark sentiment of wishing me evil or wishing me some form of catastrophe, right? And who does that? Who does that anyway? And apparently she's got 300,000 followers, and they're all quite aggressive. So at that point, I just blocked her and chalked it up to the Mars-Moon conjunction. It is what it is. Okay, so here we go. This is what we're looking at. It's the wrong chart. Wrong chart. Wrong chart. Give me 1 sec here. It's a good thing I didn't share it with you. "29 degrees Virgo." I'm still learning it. Okay. I'm still trying to remember what it is to be like a 29-degree Virgo. All right, let's do this. Da, da, da. I don't want that. And let's do this. Okay. There we go. Much, much better. Much better. Just add a few things here. But this is the problem with social media. Instead of saying, your post perhaps lacks some empathy, or turning it into a question, do you think that maybe your post might lack some empathy? Because this is how people used to communicate with one another. There was a general civility, and I find myself slipping into that as well. It's not like I'm immune to it, but I try to be mindful of it. And civility has just gone out the door when it comes to discourse, and it's all because everything is just so impersonal, right? It's completely impersonal. There's no ramifications for what people say because hold on a second. I guess that'll work. There's no ramifications for what people say because they're not. Hold on, I don't want to do this. Full screen, because they're not there in your space, right? They're not there in your space. They're not there in your face. And those kinds of moments of immediacy or being in somebody else's field changes how people would share information. And so we've created this absolute what's the word I'm looking for? We've created this crucible of this kind of roiling crucible of incivility. And even though, and what's really interesting, okay, this is the ironic and paradoxical part, is that I feel like people are having a harder time connecting and communicating in 3D versus this kind of random drive-by form of communicating on social media. And it's almost as if social media exists as a medium for people who are socially ill-adaptive. And maybe some of that is part of the entrainment, and that people become more socially ill-adaptive because through social media, they can say what they want to say, with again, without any sort of impunity, unless, of course, you were on a website or YouTube where if I said something that YouTube didn't like, then YouTube would take the video down. And it's created almost, and this is not to be demeaning of anybody who has autism or is on the spectrum, but it's created an almost autistic society in some ways, where this inability to connect in 3D and real-time space is compensated by this wild and unfiltered version of communication without any ramification in social media. It's a very interesting look at a form of social engineering and making us not just less civil, but less willing to break the fourth wall in the real world and have a connection with one another. Does that make sense? The moon's in Leo. So the hurt feelings from yesterday turn into haughty modes of expression. Leo is filled with pride, right? So the boo-boos of the last 24 hours turn into something else. It doesn't make it better, right? It doesn't make it better. It's just much more demanding, and it's the royal eye in some ways. Right off the coast of the moon, and you can see the occultation of Mars. It's right behind the moon, right? That Mars in Cancer keeps drifting backwards. Before I go there, we also have to take note of at least here in the morning, the intensity of the Pluto moon opposition, or wherever you are in this great, wide, wonderful blue marble. I did that on purpose, by the way. This moon Pluto opposition is intense, right? It's a cooker. It's a cooker. Ego, pride, right here, right at the onset or wherever you are. Now, luckily, later in the day, this moon will move out and separate from Pluto, but right here and now, things that are connected to your home, your domain, your living space, right, which is all very lunar, and the effect of Leo, which is very, how do I say this? It's very, very, well, demanding in some ways. This whole idea of domain with the moon in Leo. And this, again, if we turn our sights to Los Angeles and Los Angeles County, today's going to be an interesting day. What are the stars going to have to say about what's going on? Because we know that LA has a 1 degree Leo midheaven. So the moon right now is conjuncting Leo's LA's midheaven, even though it's 6:30 in the morning. And this moon moves into LA's 10th house. So I wonder if we're going to have stars on display, like people from Hollywood talking about their home, their experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And clearly, whether that is the case or not, the moon in LA's 10th house, usually when the moon transits the 10th house, or somebody has the moon in the 10th house natally, there can be scandal. Like, that is the nature of the moon. And today, with the moon still very much in fullness mode, I would not be surprised if we begin to see what's happening in Los Angeles as being scandalous, like some secret, right, in the LA system or the uh, LA County infrastructure is revealed, and it's out there for everyone to see. Right, that's the moon in the 10th house. And this Pluto opposition, and Pluto wants to control. It wants to control what's going on here. So this is all about, the control of the narrative, right? Total control of the narrative. Especially in Aquarius, which is communication, the media. It's going to be an interesting day as far as that goes. Now, we also have Chiron right here. And again, the sun is separating from Chiron. We got a 5-degree square, but a square nonetheless. And again, if we're going to look at this from a social perspective, this would be indicative. Aries is all about first responders. When you think about Aries, you think about the police. They're a first responder. They're ruled by Aries. When you think about Aries, you think about EMTs. You think about the fire department. That's all Aries stuff. You think of emergency rooms and triage. It's all Aries. It's all like in the immediate, in the now. Aries, a fire sign. And Chiron here represents a wound to first responders. I'm just throwing this out in terms of Los Angeles. And because, as we know, LA is a 8-degree Libra rising, which would put the descendant over here right at 28 Aries. That would be in LA's 6th house, which is every single day, right? This is Virgo. This is service, public service, right? And we have a breach with that, with Chiron squaring the sun in Capricorn. Capricorn being people like Gavin Newsom, the mayor, Gavin Newsom, the governor, Karen Bass, the mayor. And so you have a Chiron square to that, which to me is an absolute leakage of leadership. Like they're not capable of, for whatever reason, whether it's intentional, whether it's because how they've allocated resources do not allow them to respond in a way where they can get shit done. We're going to get into that more over on 15 minutes. But from a personal perspective, right, Capricorn represents our ability to take charge of our lives, set goals, be kind of the personal authority in our own experience. And Chiron here makes this a bit more difficult, right? It makes us understand in some ways that we're fallible and human. Now, does that translate and transfer over to those people? No, because they're paid. They're paid to be public servants. They don't get the same breaks. Now, the sun is trining Uranus and started to trine Uranus yesterday. So that's interesting, right? Now all of a sudden they're swinging into action. No, now we got solutions now. Oh, can't wait. I've been on the phone with Josh Green. The governor of Hawaii talking about Lahaina as Gavin Newsom sway. They must have some kind of weird drug that they take. Like some people say, oh, that's Adderall, or that's the drug of choice for these people. I don't know. Maybe they've got some weird designer drug that they're on, and it allows them to have like really strange and kind of interesting interfaces with the rest of reality that we don't see. I'm just throwing that out there, from the top of my brain. It wouldn't surprise me. Right? It wouldn't surprise me if they have like these little eye drops that they put in their eyes, and they have a kind of a matrixy sort of relationship with reality, and they're literally taking in more information than the average person. So maybe while Gavin Newsom is swaying, he's like, looking into the circulatory systems of other people's bodies or some shit like that. It wouldn't surprise me. But today, the Sun-Uranus trine is promoting innovation. And if you're a business owner or you are engaged in some kind of, scaling up of your business or scaling up of your operation with Uranus trine, what do you want to look into? You want to look into technology. What can make things easier? I'll say the dirty word, AI. And I am not opposed to AI. I do a lot of my thumbnails with AI because I am not an artist. And if I were to sit down and try to create something for a show that was reasonably decent to look at, it could take me upwards of an hour. And, I could go into AI and, punch up what I want. And if it gets, kind of close to what I want, I'm good. Why? Because I'm a one-man band. Nobody's going to go out and do a graphic for me every day. So I think within reason and within limits, it's actually a very empowering technology. If you let it do everything for you, it's disempowering. Like, I'm not a musician, but I'd rather get on GarageBand. And if I had to make a clip and put music behind it, I'd want to make the music, even if it was for like 30 seconds or 60 seconds, than telling AI what I want, because I can do that. And it doesn't take that long for me to do something about it. It's creative. But in this instance, it's like I don't have time or the skills to spend, an hour in Photoshop or GIMP to create a reasonable thumbnail. So, for you business owners out there who don't have a lot of manpower at your disposal, today is one of those days where, if you can tap into automation, and this is going on, you can explore this. The Sun-Uranus trine is happening for a while. So if you can explore it in a way where you're not feeling like you're selling your soul and retain some kind of editorial control. Like I did a thing last night where, if you look at the thumbnail for 15 minutes, AI didn't do what I wanted it to do. Like I specifically asked for Gavin Newsom, and it gave me some random person, right? So am I going to be satisfied with that? No. So I had to go online. I had to find a PNG of his head. I had to go in and I had to sort of erase and then, attach it to the pre-existing head that AI gave me. And so now I'm, a bit more satisfied with the image. And that's how theoretically this should work. So regardless of whether it's AI or not, this is, over the next few days, if you have goals and you're a one-man band or a one-woman band and you have this Sun-Uranus trine, you may want to look into how you can do more automation or, have a program somewhere that, cuts your time in half. Like sometimes people have this relationship with technology that it's like, well, if we do this, we're just going to lose our souls. Well, we're using technology right now as it is, and in a lot of ways, this has been a very empowering phase, given that everybody has a YouTube channel now. Although it can be debated whether or not we need as many YouTube channels as we have, but nonetheless, it's in our life. And so I would say, over the course of the next few days, if you are looking to innovate, it's a good time to do that. In short, Venus is getting close to Saturn here. And my guy, Evan, did a little clip over on his Instagram, which I thought was really salient, talking about Venus-Saturn conjunctions and how they're really important for commitment. And he had a blanket statement that there are going to be relationships that will end during this Venus-Saturn conjunction. The only stipulation I would have with that is that they don't necessarily have to end. When you have a Venus-Saturn conjunction, the relationship is, or relationships are in a state of negotiation. And people are looking at their relationships, and they're looking at the long-term tenability of the relationship. And with Pisces, there can be things that come up, right, that have been hidden for a while, which is a 12th house sort of experience. And when I mean hidden, it can be, feelings and emotions and sentiments inside the relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end, but it does mean that as Venus approaches Saturn here, which in this case with Saturn in Pisces, right, that's going to happen 3 times because Saturn is in Pisces for 3 years, right? So Venus will cross Saturn 3 times during that cycle because Venus changes signs every year. Right? Well, changes. I'm sorry. Mars changes signs every 2 years. Venus changes signs fairly quickly, right? So this will be a 3-year cycle. So if we go into next March or February, we might have one more because of the retrograde with Saturn. So this would be the second Venus-Saturn conjunction. If we wanted to get into this technically, we'd have to go back to the first Venus-Saturn conjunction and see what that was like and what kind of bonds or where you were with your bond at that time and where you are now. Okay. You throw in that Jupiter square with Venus, and that's interesting, right? That Jupiter-Venus square is like, okay, well, maybe there's other options here. Maybe there's other options. Very interesting in the realm of personal relationships and dynamics. All right, let's get into our True Hemp Science star of the day. This was kind of a tricky one, just in terms of who I was going to. It wasn't a great day, to be honest. So I'm gonna do my best to piece together this guy, Dave Grohl. So of course, this part of the show is brought to you by TrueHempScience.com, which is your one-stop shop for all things CBD. And I extol the virtues of this product every day. And I do it fully engaged with my conscience because it works. And if you spend $100 or more and type in 15MINS, you'll get the goodie bag. In the goodie bag, you'll see something like this, little Starlight packet, and $150 or more gets you free shipping. There's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. Some of the best CBD, CGA, THC combined synergistic products you will find on the internet or in the physical world. I guarantee it. And if I don't, Chris does. You get 30 days. Check it out. All right, let's get into Dave Grohl. He's an interesting character. He's a double Capricorn. He's got that Capricorn sun in the first house. And what do we know about Capricorns? They are ambitious. One could make a case that, well, Kurt Cobain might have been the more talented of the two. Kurt Cobain, the more archetypal of the two. Live fast, die young. Dave Grohl undoubtedly is the more successful of the two. Whatever you think of the Foo Fighters, they're one of those bands that a lot of music critics, a lot of people that have music channels on YouTube don't like. They don't find anything interesting about the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl decided that he wanted to be very accessible. He wanted his music to be accessible. He wanted to create like roaring rock anthems, which in a lot of ways is the complete antithesis of Nirvana. So I think this can be seen here with his son, his double Capricorn imprimatur. He's ambitious, really ambitious. And he's got a Sun Pluto trine, which adds into that as well. And he also has this Jupiter Uranus conjunction in Libra. And it's in the 8th house. You know, the 8th house is death, right? It's death. And I feel like the Jupiter Uranus conjunction is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very opportunistic. Very, very opportunistic. And if you go down to the 2nd house, like, so this is Pisces down here. Kurt Cobain was a Pisces. In fact, he was 0 Pisces, which puts his sun right there. But when you look at Grohl's chart, he's got Venus in Pisces, and he has part of fortune exactly conjunct Venus in Pisces. So what does that mean? It means that when he hangs out has a relationship with Piscean people, aka Kurt Cobain, it's very fortunate for him. And it's in the 2nd house, which represents money, right? Money, hard assets. And this is other people's money. And somewhere in here is also the rights to the Nirvana publishing. And he has been in a kind of ongoing battle with Courtney Love around this stuff, right? And what is Courtney Love? She's a Cancer. So she is in complete opposition to Dave Grohl. Like if you wanted love-hate, Dave Grohl and Courtney Love are your soulmates around love-hate. He also has the true node in Aries. And again, Chiron, 29 Pisces. Right? So this Aries conjunction, and Aries is like, okay, let's go. Out of the ashes of Nirvana at that 29th degree, starting off with Kurt Cobain's 0 degree sun, you have Dave Grohl starting a new thing. The Foo Fighters with that true node in Aries. So you can begin to piece some things together here. He's got Mars in Scorpio, conjunct his midheaven. And Mars conjunct the midheaven is going to be very aggressive in general. Retrograde, I think it's kind of interesting in the sense that he's a drummer in this band, Nirvana. But then after it melts and falls apart, he becomes a front man. Sun in the 1st house, true node in Aries. Mars retrograde meaning that there's going to be a change in kind of how he attacks his goals. And when COVID was happening, he was insufferable. He was one of these COVID fascists. And you can clearly see that, I believe, with the Mercury Mars square. Mercury in Aquarius being very fixed and trusting the science, right? And not having any patience whatsoever with anybody who didn't march to the beat of Dave Grohl's, medical and scientific drum. Moon Neptune conjunction up here in the 10th house. Again, Moon and there's something about this chart where planets, which are kind of out of sign with conjunctions, are the planets that resolve kind of what else is going on, right? Like, so here we've got Jupiter, Uranus, and then this south node, and then Pluto over here, and Pluto again being other people's money, other people's resources, death, and then it gets resolved in this very kind of opportunistic conglomeration where Jupiter is about opportunity, Uranus is pouncing fast, right? And Mercury coming in and trining that, it's like, okay, well, let's get engaged. Same thing over here with the moon. Neptune in the 10th house, Neptune being the ruler of Pisces, Kurt Cobain sign. Kurt Cobain has an opioid problem, Neptune, right? So once that's gone, what does Dave Grohl do? Moon in Sagittarius, new emotional content, new emotional territory, resolving Neptune with a planet that's in a different sign. Same thing here. Chiron in Pisces, right? That kind of, that crucifixion degree, last degree of the zodiac resolves over here in Aries, taking charge, something new. So this is an interesting chart in that regard. But make no mistake, Dave Grohl is about Dave Grohl. And he's going to be around for a while. Whether or not he's going to be a Foo Fighter for eternity or Foo Fighter for life, that's a whole different discussion. But Sun conjunct the ascendant, double Capricorns have a long track record of endurance, especially that Sun Pluto trine. So if you don't like Mr. Foo Fighter and wish he would exit stage left, you may have to wait a while because he's got that longevity gene astrologically. All right, there you go. There's your Astro Weather for today. I'm Robert Phoenix. Please join me over on 15 Minutes of Flame, where we will literally fan the flames of the public response to the California fires and spend more time there. Unfortunately, we have to. Have yourself a great day or a great evening wherever you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show and True Hemp Science. Mods, as always, thank you for your participation. Chattaria, you're the best. Treat each other well. God bless, and bye for now.